This was posted by u/SkyShadowXX on our ProRevenge, like I said before. I am a huge fan of this sub, and I am excited to share my story and add to the boiling pot of sweet revenge. This happened last year. I was about 6 months into a food service job at the time. I worked in my university's cafeteria prepping and serving food to the students. After closing, I took about 45 minutes to finish cleaning up my station and took another 10 to finish up one of my coworkers' sections that she needed a bit of help with. My supervisor had left just after closing to God knows where, leaving the rest of us to our devices as we usually did. He was more watch and rule type. After I had finished, I took a quick 5-minute trip to the bathroom as I usually did around this time every day. As I happily walked to the back to assist in helping the others finish so we could all leave, I hear a cough from behind me, the sound of the calm before the storm. I ignore it, thinking nothing of it, and go on my way. Then I hear a more abrupt and I stop to turn on my heel and meet the shift supervisor's cold glaze, his hands crossed over his puffed chest in his regal stance. I give him a questioning look as he looks on, expecting me to read his mind. Supervisor, a half an hour? He asks calmly, but with a sour tinge to his tone. Me confused, I chuckle. Huh? This was apparently the worst thing I could have done. Supervisor, you were in the bathroom for half an hour? He yelled, stomping his royal foot. I was taken aback as he had never come at me with a sideways tone before. I thought we were cool, but I should have known better seeing how he treated my coworkers. I was so shocked that I just stood there staring at him like he grew 3 horns. I didn't feel the need to defend myself in the moment, as I knew the words he was spitting my way was pure BS. Supervisor, do you like your job? He demanded from me. I did not, in fact, like my job. I had trouble holding back my smile at this thought as he yelled some more things I don't remember, as my ears had gone numb to his screeching at this point. I knew he had no power to fire me, and I haven't seen his mug in the past hour. I knew his words had no consequence. I had nothing to say to his tantrum, and as soon as he realized that, he dismissed me. I have trouble egging people on when they are being so irrational. So generally, I stayed quiet and let them get out their baby fit. I quickly went back to my work and started shemming, that's a fun word to say, about how I could get back at this man. Over the next week, I compiled photo evidence of him slacking on the job, serving undercooked food, and statements from coworkers about their individual experiences where he ridiculed or threatened them that I took it straight to my boss that Friday. I laid out all my evidence in my personal encounter, which they would be able to check the cameras and identify both of our whereabouts that day and who truly was off duty for half an hour. I didn't think much would come of it as I was a relatively new worker, and honestly, I didn't care about anything that happened to that hellhole. I let it slip from my mind for the weekend. The next Monday, I come in before most and start setting up. After a while, the general manager comes out of the back with the supervisor following her like a puppy, staring at his feet. He walks sheepishly up to me and invites me to sit with him at one of the tables in the cafeteria, where he admits to me that he was in the wrong. Shouldn't have yelled at me like that. Should be better leader. Is super duper sorry. All that yada yada. Sorry. I sat there with the biggest grin on my face as he practically groveled at my feet, begging for forgiveness as his boss watched on. This man that sat so high on his horse for the past 6 months, I watched in celebration as he then apologized to each of my coworkers individually. Not but a week later, he was demoted to a backroom cook, and I had been given the role of shift supervisor. We never had a problem after that, and he was a generally okay guy. I hope he really did learn his lesson, and he didn't say all those things just to get it over with. Either way, this was the sweetest revenge of my life. I have since quit that job and work for a company with people who actually know how to respect others as individuals, whether their position is below or above their own. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I enjoyed watching it happen. I think it would be a whole lot better if you watched it happen instead of read it, because, instead of Reddit. Now I get it. We are on to the second and last story of today's episode. This is several years of harassment caused her to lose her job and her kids. Posted by, I'm pretty sure, Arson Biblo 12. I don't know if that is completely accurate, but that's what I'm going with. So, this is my first post ever, so apologize if it's not up to standards. Long time lurker on this site, so I might as well tell a story. Yeah, I actually did that. I will tell that story in the future. Here is some backstory for you. Several years ago, my mom was dating a nice man with 2 kids. My younger brother and I liked the boyfriend himself. But his kids were another story. His kids were entitled jerks that always got what they wanted, constantly stole our toys, and were generally a nuisance to be around. I always tried to be a better person, but my brother and I were constantly getting arguments with them due to their pettiness, okay. And the worst part of the relationship, the boyfriend's ex-wife was. From my perspective, I felt that she was the type of person that if she couldn't have him, nobody could. She made my mother's and our lives living hell. Constantly filing false complaints about her side of the family and generally pointed out my brother and I. From harassment to claiming I had stolen the son's toys, which was the other way around. And going after the boyfriend, claiming that he was an unfit parent. Several times she'd try and ruin any plans we had come up with. For example, after spending months planning a trip to New York, last minute she blew a fuse and demanded we cancel the trip so that she could take her own trip with them. We had already gotten written agreement from her. One time she even demanded the older son and I visit a family therapist. After pointing all the blame on me, I told my side of the story. It resulted without the therapist fully implying that they agreed I was in the right, and them storming out of the room. Ah, how nice. This resulted in her being fired from the school and basically being blacklisted from our school district and the surrounding area. If she wanted another teaching job, she would have to find it elsewhere. Good. This resulted in a major legal battle between her and the ex-boyfriend because she had tried to move out of the state with the kids without his court's permission. Apparently, she lost custody of the kids and had to go back to her old job. Don't know what it is. My cousins actually have a similar thing. My uncle's ex-wife keeps on trying to take her kids back and trying to take them away from the state, even though they have a restraining order and she's been in jail multiple times. But that would be a good story time, so learn more in the future. All in all, it was an interesting experience. We cut all ties with the entire family after the whole ordeal and went on with our lives. I'm now a sophomore in college waiting out the lockdown in my state. Quarantine does suck, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, homeschooling sucks, I'd rather go to normal school. But this is not about me. While my mom still hasn't had a long-term relationship since then, mostly sticking to online dating, one of them turned out to be a pedo. But that's a story for another day. Ooh, gonna have to keep updated on this person. But she's happier now than she's been in a long time. Should put that there. Thank you for reading. Essay before, I've never done something like this, so I apologize for any issues. You're fine. Edit, thank you for all the kind words. This is very literally my first post ever, so I agree that it's very borderline pro. I would just like to make it clear that my mother and I had no real involvement with her losing custody. All we had wanted, man, my voice is cracking a lot. All we had wanted was to get me away from her school, or her at school. There was a whole lot of other things that led to it. Her being fired could have just been the last threat. For those of you wondering, I had mentioned something about a pedo near the end. It's really short. Basically, a few months after the breakup, my mom finds out this ex, not the ex-fiancé in the story, was arrested for trying to sleep with a preteen. How nice. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. I think I did better than the last one. This wasn't like as action-packed as the last one, but I think I narrated it a bit better. But there's my podcast channel, check it out, mature audiences only. My group channel, Block of Gaming. My Twitter, @3OT My Instagram, Isaac with a Z and a K _ Narinho. I'll just have Twisted put that up there. Well, goodbye. See you in the next video.